Is the American dream crumbling? A new poll says that nearly 6 out of 10 people say that the American dream is now impossible to achieve in this country. This is a poll from CNNMoney's American Dream Poll, conducted by ORC International. So young adults aged 18 to 34, wow, I'm not even in that group anymore, that is sad, are most likely to feel the dream is unattainable, with 63% saying it's impossible. That is incredibly depressing. 63% of all Americans said most children in the US won't be better off than their parents, and 67% of Americans say they have not achieved the American dream. I remember when I was in 10th grade or 11th grade, I took a class, I think it was like a social studies, like an offshoot social studies class, and the teacher saying that you guys are gonna be the first generation that in America that's gonna be worse off than their parents. And I remember like that like hit me. Like, oh shit, like this, and now it's, that was 20 years ago, and now it's actually happening. How disturbing is this?
I mean, as a member of the generation that they were...
Go, guy that's in that 18 to 34 thing.
Well, I think the idea...
I'll get to you in a second.
My retirement.
I think the idea of the American dream has definitely evolved, you know, and I think it's a lot different for young people today. You know, if anything, we are the access generation. Access means more to us, and I think it should, than ownership. Kevin Kelly, who's a phenomenal author, he talks a lot about, you know, technology and futurism and stuff, says that access is better than ownership. And I believe that. You know, we live in the age of Uber. You know, you can Uber today with greater ease than it is owning a freaking car. You can Airbnb, you know, places all around the world rather than owning a house. And I think that that's, it's just a different world we live in, you know? Like, it's better to have access to things than to own stuff.
Right.
And so I'm perfectly okay with that, you know?
Wow, a little hope off a depressing study. What do you think?
I mean, obviously the American dream is sort of vague and amorphous, and you know, it is what you think it is. But as far as the idea of people not thinking that they aren't going to do better than their parents, I mean, that is sadly the reality, and I think that all kind of stems from everything since Ronald Reagan basically has been about the dismantling of the 20th century, the dismantling of, you know, labor unions, the dismantling of voting rights, the dismantling of everything that was making us a more perfect union and that was providing education for people, and you know, this was the country that you know, went to the moon. Like all the stuff that we accomplished when we got past the Gilded Age, we're now back to the Gilded Age. We're now back to the, you know, the 0.1% and then the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I think, and
I'm
that's...
glad you said the 0.1%, by the way, because it's not the 1%.
Yeah,
As we've talked about many times, the 1% makes somewhere around $400,000, which obviously is great. I don't make anywhere near that. But those aren't the people that are really in that top echelon.
Yeah, no,
it's the people
tiny amount of people who control the massive amounts of wealth. The tax breaks they have been given by taking their money offshore, by taking jobs offshore, by not reinvesting in their companies, you know, and instead just hoarding it off somewhere. This is the Reagan effect. This is the country we live in now. This is the country where was once the land of opportunity and is now not so much.
I like this. We had hope, and now we have no hope.
Well, I think that as a generation, we should every generation should reassess what it means to do good. You know,
No,
like,
absolutely.
are we happier?
But the dream is, sure.
Are we safer? You know, do we feel, you know, more sort of creatively expressed? You know.
So that though then seems like the scary part to me, because if 63% are saying that dream's impossible, even though the hopey parts that you gave, which are pretty good, even though those exist, these people still don't think that whatever the idea of the dream is of happiness. That's the part I think is interesting here. Maybe happiness is unattainable?
I don't know if that study is you know, questioned, you know, millennials, whether or not they thought that they would be
Right, but
happier.
if you believe that the dream is impossible, whatever you think the dream is, if you're saying it's impossible, it seems like it might affect your happiness, right?
Yeah.
I know it wasn't an index on happiness.
It's a subjective thing, the dream, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we have the tools to be happier than our parents, you know? Or maybe not. Maybe being...
I don't know.
One more time, go.
I honestly don't know. No, I mean, I think you're right. A lot of it's very subjective. I don't think, you know, if the American dream used to be about, I don't know, owning a home in the suburbs, clearly that's not as much of the goal anymore. And I agree with you that we're moving away from the sort of idea of, you know, that it was about possessions or about, you know, these sort of marks, lines in the sand that you had to accomplish to be a success or to achieve the dream. But as far as just the basics of, my parents were immigrants to this country, and they wanted their kids to have more opportunities than they would have had if they'd stayed in Spain. And I think that parents want their kids to do better, and now we're looking at kids realizing that that's not going to happen, and that's kind of demoralizing.
Yeah, that is a scary thought. I want to spin this positively before we go. Max, give me one final thought that's going to make everyone feel really good about the future. Since
My dream-
Uber, say a couple buzzwords.
Snapchat.
Uber, Snapchat,
Airbnb, Snapchat, Facebook, Oculus Rift. That'll be pretty
Rift.
cool.
Oh, so you can live in a virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able
Looking
to
forward
live
to that.
in a virtual happy world. Okay, very good.